be a quiet, chill episode, unlike most of them, which are ferocious and eager. Uh, all right. And of course, let me try and, well, hello, Crowboy. Two Bens. Hello. Hello, Truffaut. Hopefully, the invite won't get messy with the camera being up here like this. Why? My question is, why can I not escape this? Okay. I think, I think if I'm just here, I think this should work out just fine. As long as I don't accidentally. All right. I think this works out all right. The question is, will I be able to hear other people? Can somebody throw their hand in there and we can test it out before we actually start the show? I don't see any reason why I wouldn't be able to. Okay, let's see. Thank you, Devil's Calf. Let's get you up here just to see if this would work. Hello, Calf.
Hello.
Oh my gosh. I think it's working. You want to count to five?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right, that's good enough. Okay, great. I'm going to bump you back down, but I'll bring you
Yep.
back up in a second, okay?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right. I cannot get this thing working. I don't know why Parsec's being such a little turd. That's really frustrating. So I can't bring up Audition, but that's okay. Okay, let's try. Let me pull up Twitch here just so I have that chat, and then let me pull this up over here, and it's gonna do the echo thing. Rob the Midmax office, yeah. Dwar Hello is asking what's going on here. Is he gonna interview himself? Look, the good news is there really isn't an archived version of this show on for video, you know. I guess there is, and I guess people know where to find it now, but by and large, there's not really. Yeah, interviewing myself. Let's see. Okay. Okay. I think we're gonna be good to go. Hopefully the audio works out okay. Okay, here we go, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Party Chat, our community Q&A for everybody at the MinMax Council tier. This is a funky episode, as you can probably tell from the sound of my voice on several levels, but I am out of the office. I am in Seattle, staying at the in-laws' place, so I'm technically recording this from their basement, but I'm remoting in to the desktop in Minneapolis. So it's a confusing thing. But there's a lot we can unpack here. So this is a Q&A for everybody at the MinMax Council tier. If you are at that $20 tier, you can call in and talk about anything you would like to talk about, or you can submit a text question as well. We don't have any text questions today per se, but in the future, if you don't want to call in, you can't make this time work, which is normally Monday at 12 p.m. Central, then you should be golden by just being able to submit text. We have a lot that we can unpack here, but hello, everybody at the MinMax Council tier. Throw your hand in the air if you want to jump up and we can talk about anything under the sun, or you can flick your hand on and off if you want to talk about exactly what we're talking about. But just for setting the scene here a little bit, in Seattle for a friend's wedding, but last night, as you can tell from the sound of my voice, we had the MinMax community meetup. And so we got together at Petoskey's, which is a Minnesota themed bar in Seattle. Kelsey Lewin and I, well, Kelsey and her boyfriend were kind enough to drive me down to this bar and stuff. And we had no idea how many people were going to show up. We were celebrating MinMax's fourth anniversary. It was a real roll of the dice because it's like, I think maybe five people on Patreon said they were coming. And so it's like, okay, I mean, it could be that two of the five show up and everybody else bails. That seems likely. But we got there and people just kept coming, and we were overflowing the place. Forrest with 2 R's says more than the most recent Minnesota meetup. I think that's right. That does feel right. So I think it was around 40 people showed up. So huge thank you to everybody who came out to the Seattle meetup. I mean, people came from Portland, people came from Eastern Washington. There was a couple that came from Salt Lake City, which I think they said it was like a 12-hour drive or something. And they were going to do other stuff in the Seattle area. But this was like the crux for them making the trek. It was ridiculous. It was super super cool. So huge thanks to everybody who came out for that. Let's see, Petoskey's, also a cool little Michigan town. They made it seem like it's like some hockey player or something. I'm still confused about the name there, but I had a Juicy Lucy. I did. I, to say I did is maybe a stretch, but we had people roll video through some of the meetup, and so for MinMax's fourth anniversary, which is technically on Tuesday, we'll put up that video, which is just going to be a little bit sloppy. A couple beers were had, and so I think in our outro speech, Kelsey Loon and I were a little a little sloppy. But thanks to everybody for MinMax exists for 4 years, and I'm sorry for a somber episode of Party Chat here, but Rabid Lime, let's bring you up to talk. Ooh, all right, let's bring you up on stage here. Hello, Rabid Lime.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hey, pretty well. What do you want to talk about, man?
I just wanted to stroke your ego. I heard I didn't see the post you made, but I heard you on the Friends Per Second podcast, and
Ooh,
you were great, man. Like I
thank you.
normally when a guest is on a podcast, they're there to talk about like one thing specifically, or they don't want to overstep their boundaries, or so you 100% just felt like one of the gang. It was really refreshing.
That's look. This is I had too much ego stroking last night at the community meetup, but thank you. That's very sweet. Yeah, it's I was really really honored. I really like the Friends Per Second podcast. Lucy James over there, I know the best, but I briefly met Gerard the Completionist and Skill Up, and I actually met Jake Baldino recently as well at the Konami preview event. And Jake wasn't on this episode. I think it's kind of like a last second thing. He dropped out, and so Lucy reached out to me to see if I wanted to be on. I was like, yeah, that podcast is great. It's big. It's a good opportunity to get the MinMax word out there a little bit. And then as I agreed to do it, and I had to like really rework the schedule to make it fit. So I mean, I was recording that at like I think up till like midnight after like a really long day. This is one of those like 16-hour days at MinMax. It's like, okay, well, this is worth it. And then, after I agreed to do it, I realized like I just looked at Skill Up's YouTube channel. I was like, oh, those episodes of the podcast, they get like 200,000 views. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, that's such a huge potential boost for us. Like I can't not be on this podcast. And so yeah, it was a fun time. I was happy to talk about Spider-Man with them, and it's like it just worked out really well because like okay, you're going to be a guest on a podcast. You don't want to come in overly negative, and it just happened to coincide well that like I'm really red hot on Spider-Man. It's like oh great, yeah, I'll come in as just like a huge force of positivity to gush about Spider-Man. Then the funny thing was, I forget who it was, but someone in the Discord pinged me when the episode went live, and they're like, for the podcast version, your audio isn't there for the second half. I was like, wait, what? So like I pinged everybody in the Friends Per Second Discord. And yeah, it turns out that like in the second half of the audio version of the podcast, my audio cuts out, which is pretty pretty big bummer.
Wait,
But
really? I listened to the audio version. You were there all the way through.
that's funny. I think well, I know that they re-uploaded it. And so maybe you just didn't download it in time. So by the time you downloaded it, it
Oh,
was the correct version. And so if
yeah.
anyone's having that problem, I think you can just delete that episode and then re-download it, and it should be the correct file for you.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was
it's a
nice.
solid episode, and yeah, just
Thank you.
well done. And you also, I guess you said to Gerard the completionist something I've wanted to say to him for years when he's like, "Oh, I got to do this, I got to do that." Self-inflicted, dude. Just stop doing it.
Oh, with the whole theme of yeah, having to be a
Yeah,
completionist. Yeah, it seems I know
because
that's his whole thing, but he shouldn't be doing that.
no, they're like lifestyles now. It I have no idea how many hours he's probably put into Tears of the Kingdom, but like he's never
Oh
going to
my
be able to
God.
play Baldur's Gate 3, and yeah, he's limiting himself.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
but you know what? He's so successful on YouTube. I guess it works out okay. But the
yeah,
weird thing too is like last week it was stressful because I was flying out to Seattle and then a lot to do. But then also, uh, Dan Reichert invited me to be on the Fire Escape podcast, his podcast with Mike Mahardy and Mary Kish. And I was like, okay, so going over to Dan's house to record like a one-on-one Fire Escape. I should probably do that because they also have a big audience. It'd be a nice opportunity to to plug MinMax again. And so it was a lot, but it was 2 bonus podcasts last week. And, I do think that's the best thing we can do marketing wise for MinMax is just get on other popular podcasts and don't come across like too much of an asshole. And so
No.
that was the goal. So hopefully it worked out okay. And like we had, it's the smallest anecdotal thing, but there was one person who left a comment on the deepest dive on Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I plugged on that Friends Per Second podcast,
Yeah.
talking about the deepest dive. And there's one person who went and commented on the old deepest dive on Final Fantasy VII. They're like, "Oh, I found this because of Friends Per Second. This is so good. I subbed to your channel." It's like, okay, good. If there's one person who's
Yep.
leaving that comment, there's probably a lot more that are coming through, hopefully. But thank you,
Yeah.
Rapid Lime. That's too
Hopefully.
sweet.
Yeah.
Anything you want to talk about that's not too butt kissy?
No. I just wanted to say good job.
Appreciate it. Hey, we as a reminder for you and everybody else, we have our big charity stream, not our Extra Life stream. This is our Give to the Max stream, and that is happening Saturday, November 4th. We're gonna have a big marathon stream from the MinMax studio, so rotating through different folks, and we'll have that Patreon post up hopefully soon this week that breaks down the schedule, including the auction items, because we have last count, I think we have about 50 auction items to auction off for charity, and all the money's going to Connections to Independence, which is a small nonprofit in Minneapolis that supports foster kids. And so we have a ton of stuff to auction off, and I need to get cracking this week on blasting that out so everybody has a good idea of like, okay, I should tune in for this segment here because these are going to be the guests and this is going to be the auction item. But we have some pretty good stuff, some pretty funky stuff. There's a couple in particular that are very fun and different. I'm trying
Is
to
it
tease it.
are they 2 different streams? Are you doing Extra Life and Give to the Max, or are you shifting
Nope.
Extra Life to
Nope.
Give to the Max?
Yeah. So we're not doing Extra Life just for that idea. We talked about it in a party chat a while ago, but it's the idea of, we've raised a lot of money for that children's hospital in St. Paul, and it's been great. But I wanted to find a nonprofit that was smaller, leaner, meaner, somewhere where the money donated would have a bigger impact, I think. And so that's the idea of finding this nonprofit, which is really, really small, that like we can directly impact a lot more lives, and it's still helping kids in Minneapolis,
Yeah.
So now it's Give to the Max.
Perfect.
And so yeah, Crowboy says, I hope Kelsey's drawings for the MinMax book are being auctioned off. Great question. They are from the New Show Plus, where it was Little Leo's first E3. Those are going to be an auction item. So look forward to that, in addition to a bunch of other good big stuff and silly MinMax jokes and all that stuff. But Rabid Lime, thank you for your support. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye.
Let's see. Let's get Thomas Bourne up here. There's a couple other things that we can talk about. It's like no one was too pissy or anything, but I thought it was interesting. There was a bit of feedback on the last episode of the podcast that we did of the main MinMax show, of people being like, they're only talking about one game. I can't believe they're just talking about one game because we're just talking about Spider-Man more than anything, Alex Grinling in the chat says, Ben, quote, I hope I don't come across as too much of an asshole. Anyway, we're benefiting kids more directly via a smaller charity. Thank you, Alex Grinling. Thanks for coming out to the community meetup last night. Anyways, but yeah, so there are a couple comments that were surprised that we only really talked about Spider-Man 2 on the main podcast last week. We also talked about the MetaQuest 3. But I think the last 2 podcasts before that, we've crammed in so many different gaming conversations and talked about, I don't know, it felt like a dozen games per episode, And so I was kind of looking forward to like, oh, it'll be nice just to have an episode that's just talking about Spider-Man 2, one of the biggest games of the year.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that I saw a couple people that were kind of taken aback, like, I can't believe you only talked about one game. What the hell? It's like, oh yeah, I guess that is kind of a staple that I don't think I really factored in enough. Of it's
Hello,
important
I'm
to
here.
jump around to
Can you
different
hear
stuff.
me? Sorry.
Yes, I can hear you, Thomas. How's it going?
Good. I was there at the thing last night. If anyone talked to me, they'll know me as the guy who won't shut up about Tony Hawk.
Okay, all right.
and
You were holding
I might
court
be
about
known.
Tony
A year
Hawk?
and a half ago, I was the guy who wouldn't shut up about Persona 5 on that video.
Of course,
Uh,
of course.
But to shed a little more light on the old Petoskey's, because I'm a
Yeah.
local and I took a picture of the sign in the bathroom that explains it more.
Okay.
He was a junior ice hockey player for the Minnesota Ice Loons, and they won 492 consecutive regular season games. And
Uh,
they
so this
disbanded after Mike's untimely death in 1978 after a tragic
suspicious.
ice fishing accident, which is the most
Huh.
Minnesotan way to go possible.
It's the leading cause of death in Minnesota.
Anyway, it
That's
was a
absurd.
ton of
What?
fun last night. I ended up talking to a whole bunch of people. And the person I talked to the most was Zeth with a Z. He was
Oh
really
yeah.
rad. So that was a lot of fun. I was there with my cousin Andrew, who we sat next to you for a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a ton of fun, and I was
Oh, that's
really
nice.
happy.
Did you get a chance? Yeah, I'm glad all these folks came out. Did you get a chance to talk to Kelsey much? Hello?
Apparently,
Oh,
said had just and
he's breaking up a little bit.
I just
Thomas, you're breaking up. I'm sorry, but thank you for coming out last night.
just not
Greatly
amazing.
appreciate it.
No,
Okay, are you there? Can we hear you okay? Okay, we're losing Thomas, but thank you, Thomas, for coming out.
my
Greatly
internet's
appreciate
kind of
it.
stupid sometimes.
It is kind of stupid, but Thomas, thank you for coming out to the community meetup. We appreciate it. All right, let's see.
Totally.
Okay, let's see. Kyle S. Hello, Kyle.
Hey, I'm doing all right, Ben.
Oh, good, good, good. What would you like to talk about, Kyle?
The new game that came out last week called the Jackbox Party Pack 10.
Ooh, Jackbox. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about it more on the MinMax Show podcast this week. I haven't had a chance
Huh.
to play it yet, but I would really love to because huge fan of the series. But you were playing it this weekend?
Yeah, I played all the games. We liked most of them, so that's good.
Okay, if you had to rank them, how are we doing here?
Let me get the list here just to be sure. I think the number one, our favorite one was called Fixie Text, which is sort of game gives you a prompt, you have to text back with they'll say like, what channel does this fake show play on? And then two people will be texting at the same time the response, and you're all sharing the same text. So it's a jumble of words, very much like a just go hog wild, random stuff, see what sticks, and points don't matter, but the people who aren't texting will award points. You get the idea?
Okay, that's nice. Yeah. I mean, were there some that you think would work really well for our charity stream? Like that's always kind of like a go-to is to go for Jackbox during those.
I mean, I don't know if you saw this, but they made a rhythm game in this Jackbox.
Shut up. Are you serious?
Yeah, it's kind of Guitar Hero-y.
Ooh, weird. How
Yeah,
does that
so
work?
you'll pick a song. It can either be like a free domain classical song or some of the songs they've made throughout past Jackbox games,
Oh,
and
yes.
you all pick different instruments. Some play like Guitar Hero, different keys and all that, and then some play, I guess, like theater rhythm or trombone champ. Go up and down the thing. You get it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then so yeah, you harmonize and you're making a band. They got funny instruments, classical instruments, and then you basically have to please the carnivorous plant in hoping not to eat your choir of birds.
Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
very simple, fun. 5 minutes in, very easy to play. That one's very good.
Yeah.
TKO is always fun to me.
Yeah, TKO is a classic. I mean, did they speed it up in TKO 2? Like what's the design for TKO 2 here?
Pretty much the same thing. Shockingly,
Okay.
like the big difference is like now you can buy hoodies of the shirts, and they changed the final round to be more like a tapping battle rather than just the same voting process that you may have done in a past round before, but it comes back in the final round. Now it's just
Right.
two teams tap the fastest. I think like some Jackbox game did this sort of method. I think it was Survive the Internet that did something similar to that, where it's just
Okay.
the winning team taps the fastest. I don't know. I guess it's a game of passion at this point. I guess was the mindset, right? The more passionate
Sure.
team gets it. I don't know.
Interesting. Okay.
Still, TKO is fun.
Yeah, we're gonna be welcome, Haley.
Hi.
Hi. We're gonna be talking more about Jackbox Party Pack 10 on the main podcast this week. But I assume you're having a good time with it too, Haley.
Yeah, it's a good pack. Like they're all solid. There's no like one that's not that great. They're all at least very fun, and some of them are like exceptionally fun. So it's a good pack.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, we'll talk about it in a big way. We're also gonna be talking about Mario Wonder on the podcast this week. Probably a little bit about the Metal Gear Solid collection, and then who knows? I don't know where your expectations are, but I guess they're doing an Xbox showcase for some games on Wednesday as well. So the plan is we'll be streaming a reaction for that on our YouTube channel, but then also talking about that on the main podcast. And Alan Wake 2 is out on Friday, and we're doing the deepest dive on it, but we're not going to be covering that on the podcast in a big way until next week is the plan, just because we got so much to talk about this week. So even though I just got done saying that we should try and pack in more games talk on the podcast, like we'll probably save that for next week, because I think we also want to check in with folks on Spider-Man 2 for folks who didn't get to talk about it last week. But it's kind of a tricky podcast to schedule this week, but we're gonna try and squeeze as much in as we can. Haley, do you want to officially take up the mantle of just scheduling all of our content and figuring out the logical challenges of everybody's time zone and schedules to make for the best content, please? I'd appreciate it.
Oh my God. Well, even like our morning meeting, it was like literally an LSAT question for you to figure out when to
Yes.
do our when to record the podcast on Wednesday.
Yes, and especially like being in Seattle and being on Pacific time, it's like an extra extension of like, okay, and then this is that time, this time. Okay, so it's gonna be a challenge, but we'll try and hey, you know what, everybody, we'll try and schedule the best podcast for you that we can this week. But if anybody has thoughts on, we'll take some more questions here, obviously. But if anybody has thoughts on the charity stream segments they want, you know, people they want to be on is probably less of an issue, but more like games or types of sections, segments for the charity stream, types of gimmicks, all that stuff. We'd love to hear what you'd like to have happen during the big charity stream this year, because we got a lot of games to jump through, a lot of ideas for different donation incentives. Just so you know, the wish structure, if you remember in the past, where it's $50 for a donation and you can make a wish for a certain figure to potentially jump in and make your wishes come true. The plan is for that to happen again this year. Hello, Cass. You had thoughts on this?
Yeah, I totally want Haley and Sarah to battle to know who's the ultimate horse girl.
Okay.
And people can
Haley, can you
vote
come down
and
to
bid.
that is good. Ooh, okay, something. Yeah, it would be nice to involve the people that are out of town in some way. And Haley, we haven't really talked about it too much, but it's like, oh, maybe just like Jackbox. If we play that, then like other folks can jump in.
Yeah, that'd
That
be
might be an easy
way.
way. Yeah. Okay, but some sort of horse-related competition is what you want, Kath.
Yeah, because Haley declared herself the best horse girl, but Sarah had
She
that
did.
title. So we
Right.
need to fight it out to the death.
Well, we have talked about this for New Show Plus, if we brought back some sort of horse girl related content, to try and figure out what the best thing to do there is. Maybe we could just, for New Show Plus, it can be you and Sarah, but you're both going for a real horseback ride, and then like at the end, you can see how much the horse loves you by how happy he is to see you. I don't know. How do you? There's something here. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's something here.
I
Maybe
mean,
a
I have
horse
a barn I
visit
rode at
trivia?
my whole life. I could just go pet a bunch of horses, and Sarah could also do that somewhere. That's kind of hard.
No, it's doable. It is super doable. Okay, Kath, what else do you want from the charity stream?
Honestly, the wackiest game, the funnier. I love watching you play like weird game or like old games.
Old games. Yeah.
Like right now, I'm watching the McElroy brother are playing Donkey Kong Country, and it's really hard apparently. But watching them playing this really old game just brought back so many memory that I'm hooked. So
yeah,
like nostalgic ones could be good for people to stay and watch.
Yeah. yeah, that is good advice. You know, we focus a lot on like multiplayer games and stuff like that, but we're trying to find room in the schedule for like, oh, it's nice just to like unwind and let's just focus and play some older game, kind of single player thing that we can all focus on. And so we have a couple slots in the schedule for that, but especially like late at night, it's nice just like let's just unwind, and not everybody needs to be on all the time energy wise, and we can just kind of focus on a game. So yeah, some retro stuff is a good suggestion for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else you want to talk about, Kath?
We had a big debate in the MinMax Council channel on Discourse. What is your favorite type of egg?
Like how you like your eggs prepared?
Yeah.
Yep, we get this question. It feels like every 3 months on the podcast, somebody writes in with this. I take mine over hard, 2 eggs over hard. I don't like runny eggs at all. And
Interesting.
so ideally on like a nice sandwich. I love a good egg sandwich.
I will say over hard is the best way to do it on a sandwich, because then you're just not making a mess. But I think in every other instance, I
Yeah.
like it over medium or like poached, because like I like runny, but I hate a
Mm,
runny sandwich. I agree with you there, Ben.
Yeah, but we were talking
okay.
about the good dunkability of the runny egg.
That's
Uh,
true.
yeah.
I do like that, Kath. That's true.
No one else is grossed out by runny eggs. They really freak me out.
Honestly, I just have them for the dunking it with my toast, so.
The only way I
Sure,
don't like
sure.
eggs is hard boiled. I don't like hard boiled eggs.
Huh.
Ooh, why is that?
I don't know. Like maybe as a kid I bit into one and thought it would be a different mouthfeel than what it was, and it freaked me out. I think that must have been it,
Mm.
because I like the taste of eggs, but when I think about biting into a hard boiled egg, I get like the EBGBs. I don't know why.
You know you're supposed to take the shells off, right?
Oh, didn't
Maybe
know
that's
that.
your problem.
I mean, that's my
Yeah,
problem.
well, we're here to help.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, thank you, Kath. Thanks for talking about good stuff like eggs in the MinMax Council tier.
Of course. Ciao.
Hello, Bob Buell. Yes. Yes, welcome.
Oh, hello, Mr. H. Hello, Haley.
Hello.
Mrs. H, please.
Oh,
No
sorry. excuse
relation.
Yeah, I can't mix up the letters like that. It's gonna cause too much confusion. I did have a question with the give to the max, I guess.
Yes.
What do you have a loose time frame? Because I know it used to be the 24
Yes.
hours. It slowly went back from that because you could make just as much money and not be literally up all night. So just
Yeah.
curious.
It's a great question. I wish I knew, Bob. Yeah, like I said, last week was a super busy one for me, and so I didn't get as much opportunity as I wanted to plan. So I counted the charity auctions, and yeah, I think we're over 50 charity auctions at this point, which
Wow.
then comes down to, okay, is that determining the schedule? Are we doing 25 hours because we need to do 2 every hour? So honestly, I don't know. It all comes down to charity auctions, but then also when people are available. And so I need to map out roughly who would be available when. If we're low on people, then maybe we can do a 20-hour stream. If we have enough people for all these different chunks to swing by the MinMax studio, then maybe we go for the full 24. But it's actually 25 because that is the day of the time change. So we lose an hour.
Oh.
So it's that tricky thing. I mean, it was nice that last year we did the 20-hour stream and we made, I think, more than we had previous years. And so it is a thing of like, well, do we need to go for the full Monty? But it's like, you know what? It's kind of fun. Then again, an idea that we had, because Leo and I had a little planning call last week or the week before. And it's like, okay, should we not let the number of charity auctions determine the length of the stream? Because maybe we can just do 1 hour chunk in the stream at some point. That's like the charity power hour, where we do just an hour of nothing but charity auctions. And that might be a better way to go. But Bob, do you have thoughts on the right length for a charity marathon stream like this?
I mean, I think people are gonna be in it either way. I coming from someone who has stayed up the full 24 hours for one of those things and watched the whole thing,
Yeah,
it gets loopy toward the end. It gets
it
gets
does.
rough those last couple hours. So if 16 or something makes more sense for your guys' schedule, especially as a father, I know, just if it helps you guys out more, I don't think anyone's gonna riot in the streets over that,
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, in addition to a bunch of other stuff, is trying to map out that the full schedule for Extra Life, and then I'll have a better sense of it.
Nice.
And then we'll get it up on Patreon as soon as we can, because we also there's a lot of there's a handful of charity auctions where we've heard back from people and like yeah well that'll work. We'll get you some charity auction items, and I'm like, okay, I need a picture to start promoting it. And they're like, we'll get it to you soon. So there's a couple outliers like that it'd be nice to have pictures for all of these things that we're going to be doing for the charity auctions. But Bob, any suggestions for things we can put on the table to make for more wish fuel? I know that's a weird way to phrase it, but that's what Leo and I were talking about mainly, is like, how do you provide as much possibilities on the
What
table
kind of
as
wish
possible here,
fuel? Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels to me like one of those, you just run up and down a dollar store and just
Yep.
go bananas. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Pick up some army men, pick up some streamers, pick up some fruit by the foot. I don't know. We'll figure it out as it goes. We'll find a use
Okay.
later.
Yeah, fruit by the foot. We can make a blindfold out of fruit by the foot. That'll be a
There
$50
you
wish
go.
for sure.
Eat your way out.
Okay. Ooh, perfect. All right.
There better be a
that
what the
type
dub
of-
somewhere in there. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, there is. We talked about that actually, of like, we did the Rift Rex game last year.
Oh, right.
and
I
I felt
forgot
like
they made like the sequel. Yeah.
Yeah, but I maybe it was just a better mood in the room. But I think Leo and I were like, yeah, I think What the Dub was funnier than the Rift Rex game, so we should go back to play What the Dub. But yeah, I know that Dan Reichert's excited to swing by. He's coming by for kind of a late night chunk, and so he's just excited to jump in there and play games with folks in the studio, because he has been doing a lot of remote work. So I think he's excited just to be in the same room as people. So it should be an interesting ride with him.
I feel
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thanks, Bob. Anything else you want to talk about?
One really quick question, actually, because I've been
Yeah.
I don't know why I've been on a recent old school min-max GI kick of just watching stuff before I go to bed. What are your current standings, I'll say, on Skeletors, like the little clip after the credits? Because I think it
Yeah.
was kind of a staple of some of your earlier work, and not that I'm complaining, but I don't see it
Oh.
nearly as much.
Interesting.
But I was
Okay,
just
so for
wondering if
our
you
content,
feel
you're
like
gonna-
you've moved past it or something. You know what I mean? You've evolved beyond the Skeletor.
No, that is a very good and specific question. Yeah, so not in terms of Marvel or Star Wars teases, but just for our own content, the post-credits whole thing. Yeah, I feel like Backstage Pass kind of ate some of that lunch. You know what I mean? Where it's like, if we have like a really funny discussion that's technically off mic or not in the main show, it's like, well, people at the Backstage Pass tier, they get that, compared to putting some stupid jokey thing at the end. And then even, I guess it was like, it's the difference between doing so much live stuff versus at Game Informer, where there's a lot more pre-recorded, where if something goofy happens, it's like it's in the Twitch archive, you know what I mean, before we start the YouTube
Yeah.
for min-max content. So I just feel like it's kind of the shifting formats, the evolving medium has led to fewer moments like that. We did do, and thanks to the 3 people who commented on it, but we did do, yeah, people are talking about it on Twitch now, but the fake commercial that we did at the end of a recent episode of the Min-Max show, because I was just really annoyed by
Yes.
automated ads and other podcasts, and I was like, we should just do one of these just to remind people. We should do one of these to remind people that we don't do them. And so I guess that was the closest recently to like a little Skeletor teaser thing at the end, is just like a little fake ad that we put at the very end of an episode of the Min-Max show, which I forget. I guess it wasn't on the YouTube version. I think it was on the Patreon exclusive version, I'm pretty sure, in addition to the main feed one. But I guess that's the closest. But yeah, there is something fun about that format, and like Easy Allies still does it, or Easy Allies will like take a clip from the episode that was funny and put it again at the end, which I think is kind of fun too. But we should get back to it, Bob.
I mean, listen, you do you, but I am a fan. I'm a fan of that.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know why. It makes me giggle, but I agree with live stuff. It's kind of baked in there already. So
Yeah, I think so. But no, it's a good reminder. I do think that type of stuff is fun, or even like I really enjoyed. If you really want to go way back in time for like Game Informer stuff, like making little musical montages and stuff from clips from Overblood and all that nonsense.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was fun.
the Bizarre
So
Detective is a classic.
right. I should spend 100 hours doing more stupid animation.
Correct. Yeah. Pick a
Yeah, I
blender
hear
or
you.
whatever that was in. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Bob. Anything else you want to cover?
Nah, I think I'm good.
All right. Appreciate it, dude.
Bye,
Bob.
Bye. Happy Halloween. Hello, Groffles.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes. What's happening?
Not much. I was just calling in, obviously, with the stuff you're talking about earlier. I think I might have missed. You're in Seattle right now still, or
Yes. That's why it looks and sounds bad.
fair? Yeah. No, I was curious. I'm not sure how much you went into it. You talked about, I think, the meetup, but Seattle in general. I mean, have you had the chance to go do anything, sightsee? I saw you had the
Gosh.
GIF or the GIF, whatever you want to pronounce it as, the Pike Place Fish
Pike's
Market.
Market. Yeah. That was
it
not
actually there?
my own recording.
Oh, okay.
No. I literally just was looking for a Seattle related GIF, and I was like, oh, somebody throwing a fish at Pike's. That's Seattle. No.
is.
So I mean, I've been here. I've been to Seattle a lot. I mean, through the Game Informer days, and even before that, like my dad was raised in Kirkland,
Oh,
in Washington, and so I've been here a lot throughout my life. So on this trip, it's just a lot of family and friends and stuff, and so not any big sightseeing things. Like my my wife's parents live in a place where it's not too far of a walk for like a really beautiful view of the Sound, and so
Oh,
I
sure.
guess we technically did that yesterday. And so it's awesome. I love Seattle, but yeah, I'm trying to think of the biggest touristy stuff in Seattle that I haven't done. I feel pretty good
like
about
have you
like
done
the
the
EMP
Spice?
museum.
Yeah, I was gonna say the EMP museum I've been to, which is really cool, and then I haven't done the Space
Yeah.
Needle, but that looks like it'd be at least a fun view.
Yes. Yep. I did that. It was, I think, when we came here for the Destiny cover story at Game Informer, Ben Reeves and Matt Miller and I went up on the Space Needle. And it was fun. I remember I got Bread Bowl chili at the top of the space. But they have like just kind of, there was a place to buy Bread Bowl chili at the very top, and that was a delightful combination. So I always love that. But yeah, I think we hit up a lot of the big beats. Like a friend of mine lives out on Bainbridge Island, and so taking the ferry out there is really cool. So I love Seattle. It's
Yeah, because
a
you're a
wonderful town.
you're a big fan of the hiking scene, so I was just curious if you also done any of the
Yeah.
island stuff, because there's plenty of places to go there, and I know that there's
Yeah.
Mount Olympus area. Is that around there?
I
Or-
don't know. Yeah, if you go
I did
out to like the
something over
peninsula,
in
I
that area.
suppose. Yeah, we did a while ago when I was here. My wife and I did a hike. It was a little ways out from Seattle, but it's called Lake 22. And it was just an incredibly beautiful hike. So that was the last Seattle hike I did. But yeah, it's good stuff. But thanks, Groffles. Yeah, you
Well,
spent
the
a lot of
last
time out here
most of-
yourself?
No, not much actually. I just had the chance to go like a decade ago with some friends who, as you mentioned, Kirkland. He works with Costco in the corporate headquarters over there. So
Oh, cool.
took the chance to go tour around the touristy things that you've mentioned before. And I mean, the most important question is, have you gone to the first Starbucks down there? Because supposedly that
Ooh.
is a big line that never goes down.
That's so silly. I think I have. Because it's like, eh, I want to say yes, but I'm not like a weird Starbucks person. I mean, a cool Starbucks person, so I don't think I really care too much if I did go
Yeah.
by it.
My friends and I, they just pointed it out to me and said, "That's the first one." And then we saw the line, and I'm like, "Cool." And then they said, "But let's go to this other place, a local coffee shop, to get some really nice Turkish
Yeah,
coffee." So we did that
there
instead.
we go.
No
Yeah,
Do they make
line.
it
like a
like a
good route.
tourist trap or anything? Like, are they like the first with a big sign over it, or is it just people? If you know it's the first one, you know it's the first one.
I guess it's more that because if anyone ever told me to go down to the area and see, hey, look, there's a Starbucks there. It's supposed to be the first one. I would never know. Like it just looks
Right.
exactly like generic Starbucks with a really long line.
Man, I was on a flight not too long ago, and I had like half an hour left on the flight or something. It's like, well, I can't start a movie. What am I gonna do? And they had on this Delta flight, like, who's the founder of Starbucks? I forget the guy's name. He ran for president or something, didn't he? Howard. Um, and
Oh.
so I was like, he had a whole like basically web series that was on this Delta flight where he's like giving business advice. I was like, you know what? I guess I'm a businessman now. I'll watch this. And so I watched his little bite-sized presentations of business advice from Starbucks, and it was the most blowhardy zero thing I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, Howard Schultz. Thank you, chat. And so that's my Starbucks experience mainly is watching the complete blowhard talk about the important thing is to care about your customers. It's like, okay, got it, black.
I don't think you're missing
Um,
much, but just wanted to know if you actually ever did that kind of touristy thing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I don't know if I've done that one exactly, but appreciate it, Groffles.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Bye.
Absolutely. Let's see. Backlog Busters says, "Is there a New Show Plus option for Ben touring the Pink Gorilla stores?" That would be fun, but I'm going to let other folks handle New Show Plus this week. Leo is going to be spearheading a lot of them, but we're going to try and bring back the pumpkin carving competition, jack-o'-lantern carving competition, and specifically because apparently Janet has never carved a jack-o'-lantern in her life. So we're going
Yeah.
to see how this goes.
How
That's
has she
gonna be
never done
wild.
that? That's gonna be. I hope that wins so that we can just watch Janet do that for the first time.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I don't know. It'll be tough to top some of the other things we have in the poll this week. Let's see. Haley Facts. Rich asked, "Can you commandeer the show for more Baldur's Gate 3 content?" Well, we kind of are doing it because I'm out. So the second episode of Baldur's Gate Boot Camp wouldn't be me, but the plan is it's going to be Leo streaming his Baldur's Gate save, which is a little bit further on, where Jeffem and Sarah can coach him
Is he still in
in
Act
Baldur's
1?
Gate. What's that?
Is he still in Act 1?
I think so. I would
think
have
so
to
too.
imagine yes. Okay, but I don't know. Also, I mean, as a tease, there was talk of Haley and Leo. You're going to be streaming later on this week, right?
On Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, you
Mystery
can talk
stream?
about what it is.
Yeah, should we say? That's fun.
Sure.
We're going to stream the Alan Wake focus DLC for Control, Leo and I. Because
Yeah.
I would like to finish Control this week, but oh my god, so many games are out, and Spider-Man's so fun, and Mario Wonder's so fun. I literally just play games all weekend, but yet felt like I'm still behind. I want to finish Control, but at least I want to see, because I'm playing Control to get ready for Alan Wake 2. So at the very least, I want to see the DLC that's like apparently super Alan Wake focused. So, and so does Leo.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fun. I'm looking forward to watching the stream with you too. I feel like I'd love to do more of that type of stuff in MinMax. So that'll be so the weird logic is if it's a group stream, that'll be archived on the main YouTube channel. And if it's a solo stream, that's still on our bonus YouTube channel, which is at MinMax Stream Archives. And so this one of the Control DLC, that'll be on the main YouTube channel on Friday then, the day that Alan Wake comes out, I suppose, but that'll be cool. Let's see, B Wood. Let's get you up here for a final question before we bow out. Hello, B Wood.
Hey, Haley. Hey, Ben. How's it going?
Good.
Hey, really well. What would you like to talk about, B Wood?
So I think you've already heard people give you kudos for being on Friends per Second. I think you did a really good job. I think for me, being a Final Fantasy VII fan, to hear you talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake, and when they said, "Hey, what you playing?" You said, "Oh, I'm playing Ever Crisis." I was like, "That's right." That felt
Yeah, yes, I was here to get your back. Yeah, I feel bad for people that hear me talk about Ever Crisis again and again now on multiple podcasts. But I was like, yeah, that seems like a good one. It seems like there's there's some interesting tidbits in there that'd be nice to talk to a wider audience for, and kind of reinforce that idea of like, hey, we like Final Fantasy VII at MinMax. Come check out our channel.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I thought it was good, and I think I was reading some of the comments, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I'd never heard of MinMax. I think I'm gonna go check them out now." So that was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah, that was
for
really
sure.
good.
Right on. Well,
Did
yeah,
you?
what would you like to talk about?
Oh, sorry. I was gonna ask, did you check out anything from the New York Comic Con Final Fantasy VII Rebirth cast panel?
Ooh, no, I saw that. What, Matt Mercer is Vincent, right?
Yeah, they finally actually confirmed that. His story was actually pretty interesting. How they called him in to audition for Vincent, and I guess they didn't say yes or no right away, and he didn't hear anything for I think he said 6 months. I can't remember, but he was just kind of felt
Whoa.
he kind of felt like, okay, that's the one that got away. He thought that it just wasn't going to work. But he was actually
Right.
in Final Fantasy VII Remake as additional voices, and so they called him back saying like, "Hey, I didn't want to come back and try some of these other voices." And so he comes in thinking he's going to be one of those additional voices again, and he's trying out some things, and the screen that he's looking at gets real glitchy, and there's like, "Oh, we're having technical issues," and then it goes black, and it says, "Well, why don't you try this role?" And then I guess a picture of Vincent appears to like let him know that
Whoa.
that he made it. So that was pretty cool. I'm assuming
Wait,
that he was
hang on.
trying. Sure.
Hey, so they made it seem like the screen was glitching out, or that was all like part of the prank to then reveal that he got the job?
I think the way that I heard it was that they made the screen glitchy to make it seem like they were having some technical issues, and then that's when a tech appeared and said, "Why not try this one?" or something along those lines. And a picture of Vincent came up, and that's when he realized that he got the role for Vincent.
Oh, that's super cool.
That is
Yeah,
fun.
I think
Yeah, and he was the voice of Ganon this year and stuff. So yeah, if it's like kind of spooky guy, I guess Matt Mercer is just the go-to, huh?
somebody said that if you have a edgy, sexy edge lord, then he's your
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
That's so true.
I guess that's it. Yeah, because he's also the voice of McCree. What's McCree's new name, Haley?
Cassidy.
Cassidy from Overwatch and stuff. But yeah, but Matt Mercer, he's the big D&D player, right? Like I know he's a
Yeah.
wild, huge celebrity at this point, but I still just kind of know him as like, oh, I think he was Cassidy's voice. That's really my main reference.
He's
So Critical
so many.
Role is what he.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Haley, what'd you say?
Oh, just that he's like in everything. Like if you look at the IMDb of like every game ever, it feels like Matthew Mercer's name is somewhere on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot. So yeah, that seems to fit. I'm not too precious about the voice of Vincent, so I was like, yeah, that works. Let's see. We have, by the way, just I don't forget it. Aaron Roberts jumps in the chat here to say, jumping in last minute. Just want to say thanks for coming out to the Pacific Northwest. It was cool to shake hands with the internet faces I've been listening to for so long. New council member here, says Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, Aaron came to the community meetup last night and had the most elaborate way to reveal that they were a new council member of writing it out on a piece of paper and having Kelsey and I unfold it. And then inside it revealed that he was a new council member. So thank you, Aaron, for the elaborate reveal of that. But hey, B-Wood, anything else you want to cover?
Just real quick. I forget the voice name for Cloud, but at that panel, he had said something that you might just need to check it out yourself. But and maybe not if you think that it might be too spoilery. But he said something about how he had to do something for Cloud where he was like speaking another language, and it was like really weird, and it made him laugh and funny. But it sounds like you haven't. I'm not sure if you checked it out, and I can't figure out like what from the original he would be referring to, and that's pretty interesting. So it sounds like this is he was hinting at one of the liberties that they were taking, but I would be curious to see like what other people think that he was trying to allude to at that time, which I guess I'm my own worst enemy because I'm gonna spoil myself.
No. I mean, my first guess, that's really interesting. My first guess would be something like in Cosmo Canyon, maybe like Cito's ancient language, or there's maybe something like that, or maybe he's trying to speak Red 13, like maybe there's something weird like that. That's the first thing I think of, but it could be like some weird Temple of the Ancient stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be cool. Well, right on,
Mhm.
B-Wood. Thank you for keeping your streak alive of talking Final Fantasy VII.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Somebody mentioned, and we talked about it a little bit in the Monday meeting, but somebody mentioned that at TwitchCon they revealed that you can simulcast now on Twitch and YouTube, which we talked a little bit about it in the Monday meeting of like, does that mean anything wildly different for us? The first thing is like, okay, probably the Give to the Max stream on November 4th. We'll be doing that on Twitch and YouTube just to try and hit the biggest audience possible. So that'll be really handy. What it means for Neutral Plus, which is normally on that day delay from going from Twitch to YouTube, we're not quite sure. We'll probably keep the day delay for now. And if we don't want to simulcast Neutral Plus because we like to have, a clean intro and outro for YouTube compared to kind of just the raw thing for Twitch, and it's nice to be able to edit some of those a little bit if we need to, especially for the ones where we're live streaming out in the world with any technical difficulties. I don't think I'd want to just stream it live on YouTube as well. But also it's nice to have the flexibility for the production end of things. If we stream Tuesdays on Twitch for Neutral Plus and then we have 24 hours to get it up on YouTube, I think that type of turnaround time is handy for exporting and stuff, and especially, fingers crossed at some point we can bring in some more production help at MinMax, and so it'd be nice to give whoever that new person might be who can help out with production that much of a window of like, all right, you have 24 hours to turn this around, instead of just being like, all right, the second this show's done, you got to get it up on YouTube right away. But who knows? There's a lot of questions there, but that seems to be a takeaway from TwitchCon. But all right, let's wrap this sucker up. Thank you so much, everybody, for again helping MinMax directly, letting us exist for 4 years, coming out to the Seattle meetup, or jumping in at the MinMax Council tier to podcast with us. Greatly appreciate it. And yeah, we're gonna have a good week coming up. Neutral Plus is gonna be fun to have kind of Leo steer the ship again, like I was on paternity leave. But then we'll have the reaction stream on Wednesday for the Xbox thing, and then we'll be recording the main podcast on Wednesday as well. But Haley, thanks for joining.
Yeah, big week this weekend. I feel like
Big.
next week too.
Oh my gosh, with the deepest dive. Yes.
Yeah.
For Alan Wake, we should mention, oh my gosh, I got to get that post up as well. For the deepest dive in Alan Wake, but we're going to be collecting your comments on that. Help me out, Haley. Sunday is what we just got decided for the discussion?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to be streaming that on Sunday. Hang on, was it Sunday or was it Monday? Now I'm second guessing everything, Haley.
Oh no, it was Monday.
Okay, it was later Monday. So we'll be collecting your comments on Patreon for the first third of Alan Wake 2 on Sunday, and we will relay that stopping point when we can, when we have somebody on the inside who's playing the game who can tell us a good point to stop at. That's going to be roughly, I think 4 to 5 hours is kind of that sweet spot. I think probably maybe 3 to 4 for that first chunk. What do you think, Haley?
Yeah, that feels like a good, because I think that's about how long they said it's going to be if we split it into thirds, would be that long.
Right. Yeah.
And
So we'll
that's a
relay
good
all
chunk.
that stuff to you soon. I think so. But all right. Thank you so much, everybody. Busy week. It's going to be fun times, but thanks again. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Oh.
All right. Let's see if we can send you over to another stream. And then I have to edit this in a funky way. All right. Let's raid Nextlander. They are playing Remnant 2. Go say hello to those wonderful Nextlander folks. We just talked about them a lot on the Air Escape podcast. I was on with Dan. So I hope, it looks like they're just starting their stream. So go say hello to Nextlander, everybody. Goodbye. All right. Thank you, Backstage Pastors. Appreciate it. See you next time. Goodbye.